What's going on, everybody? It's Jimmy from Football on the No Show. It is our first night here broadcasting from the Godzilla Media YouTube page. We appreciate you guys joining us tonight. We have a great show planned for you. We're going to be talking about some Carson Wentz, the injuries, what's going on with Quinten Nelson, too, also here with the Indianapolis Colts. And also we have the NFC West biggest question. So come on in, join us in here in the conversation, post some comments. We are very interactive. Come join the show with us. And down Monday, let's kick it off.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk. Straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the No with Jim and Joe.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the No. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Know-It-Alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the No Show and our debut on Godzilla Media.
Yeah,
Let's
we're here,
go,
baby. We're excited. We're ready to go. We're getting stuff started here. Pleasure having you guys with us tonight. Like I said, drop some comments down there.
Feel free.
In the page here. Also, we're sharing to YouTube or Facebook out there, too. So all Facebookers out there, let us know you're out there.
And if you're new to the show, please do us a favor. If you love football, if you're down with the NFL and you want to check out some of our NFL content, feel free to do so. Hop over to either Facebook or YouTube. Make sure when you're on YouTube to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to get all the notifications that you will when we go live. Also on Facebook, make sure you do so. Become a know-it-all, and we are here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you guys probably noticed, we got a few more sponsors here along with the show. Not only do we have Raise and Buck Environmental Solutions, we also have Johnstone Supply and our friends at Mohawk Honda. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mohawk Honda.
Well, what about them?
They're right there in Freeman's Ridge Road in Glenville, New York, right across from where I work. So I know a lot about Mohawk Honda. And right now, there's a shortage in the market. Every dealer is interested in your vehicle right now. They want to get you in there to do the trade-ins. But at Mohawk Honda, not only will they give you top dollar for your trade-in, but they have acres and acres of inventory out there. Like I said, I drive by this all the time. I see it all there.
Okay.
They have the largest inventory of vehicles in the region. And that means you can choose whatever's out there, the car that is right for you.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, that's right. Sure, some other dealers can talk about values out there, but our friends at Mohawk Honda will show you their value in selection, but more importantly, value in how you're treated here at Mohawk Honda. All right, don't feel pressured by buying something and another dealer says because that's the best they can do. Don't fall for all that crap, all right? We're talking about come on into Mohawk Honda. They're going to put you in the vehicle that you deserve. Over their vast selection of certified pre-owned vehicles, it's guaranteed to fit your needs and your lifestyle, not the other dealer's values, all right? So come on down to the Selection King here at Mohawk Honda, where they go out of their way to please you. That's right. And talk about going out of your way to please you. That's what we like to do, too. Too bad we couldn't coin that term already because Mohawk already had it.
They already have that.
We're out there to do whatever we can for you guys. It's a pleasure having you with us here tonight.
Yes.
Carson Wentz, he's dinged up again, Joe. He's hurt up again. Carson Wentz,
man.
broken, built like glass. Here we go.
Yeah,
Here he is.
no
He's just busted up. So we saw this coming. I mean, we talked about it before the season started.
True.
I mean, and that was kind of a question.
Right.
We've seen him get injured before many other times, and what was the ticker on this? And that's the question that people asked about even this trade where Philadelphia, fans wanted him out. He was unhappy there. It seemed like it made sense going back to Frank Reich, where he was successful here as his offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's where, it was the comfort zone here. But the question always remained, this guy gets dinged up pretty much.
Can he stay healthy? And that's always been his issue his whole career. So it's like, was the move good for both sides? Yes, because it seemed like the Eagles were ready, willing, and able to move on from Carson Wentz with that contract of his and his inability to stay healthy and to continue their future with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And then it was good for the Indianapolis Colts as well because Frank Reich was getting a quarterback that he knows very well, that he worked extremely well with. Wentz knows his offense like the back of his hand, performed extremely well on the football field with Frank Reich calling the plays. And it was like a match made in heaven for Indy until just recently. Now he's out, and it's not just out for like a couple weeks, not out for like maybe 3 weeks or anything like that. Now it looks like it's more substantial than they were hoping, and it's anywhere from 5 to 12 weeks. They're betting on the latter rather than the sooner part for Wentz, and it's a big blow to not only the Colts offense but also for them to come together and their chemistry to build with their new quarterback before week 1 even gets here. So now you're missing out a lot of time in training camp, not going to be around, it seems like, and they're going to have to turn their sights towards a different quarterback starting week 1. So it remains to be seen who that quarterback's going to be. We know that Nick Eason is kind of high on the terms of the Colts really liking him. He's played pretty well in practice, but I just think he's a little too young. He's unproven, in other words, and what do they do next? Do they possibly make a move? Like, a lot of people are talking about this right now. A lot of people are saying, hey, why don't you go out and trade and get yourself a quarterback that has been there, has some experience, can throw him in, he'll learn the offense pretty quickly, and you'll be able to be okay. Maybe not great, but you'll be able to be okay enough until Wentz gets back. A lot of names being thrown out there. A couple of them, like, Marcus Mariota was being named. Was Gardner Minshew was brought up. Nick Foles has been brought up.
Nick Foles has been up a lot recently.
And,
because, again, everybody looks
also
at the
Jimmy G.
familiarity there, too. Again, Nick Foles there with the same system Frank Reich was running. It seems like he's on his way out here in Chicago, obviously, because it's crowded right there with the quarterback. So it seems like the perfect opportunity then for there.
Right.
But again, look at the Colts. They've got $11 million to spend here left on the cap. So I don't know if that'll work out for Nick Foles. They would have to rearrange something here. Plus, for Carson Wentz, how bad does that look for the team if all of a sudden you're injured? 5 to 12 weeks, we don't know, but they go and get the guy that's filled in for you and went and won the Super Bowl. So the one Super Bowl ring you have, this guy came in and took over your job and got it done. And now it's happening again. It kind of seems like, God damn, I just can't get away from this guy. So what would that do for his psyche? I don't know if that Nick Foles situation would work so well.
I don't. You know what? And here's the thing too: is like you bring up a good point, but also the quarterbacks nowadays, like their mental capacity, their mental toughness is pretty darn good. So it's like I don't think that's going to bother any veteran quarterback whatsoever. Carson Wentz was brought in for a reason, was going to be the absolute starter, will still be the starter when he gets back healthy. So if they bring in a guy like Nick Foles, even from his past or something like that to help the team out, right now, I don't think it's going to affect him in any way. But the question is which guy should they go after? You know what I mean? There is options out there. And also when Nick Foles has been brought up, but also the other Chicago quarterback as well has been brought up. Andy Dalton, who just got in Chicago after signing a contract with them, looks to be the starter, even though they have a bright, young, looks fantastic Justin Fields, who they just drafted. He looks every bit of the part of the starting caliber quarterback for them. And maybe as he progresses in training camp, maybe they might be open to the idea of trading either Foles or Dalton. And it's very possible they could go either way. Other than that, you look at guys like, I know Jimmy G's been thrown out there with the 49ers, but the Niners have already come out and said, well, Jimmy G is our starter, first and foremost. So it's like, what do you do there? Like, obviously, if they're not down to trade him, you'd have to give up some heavy compensation, like a second rounder, maybe third rounder, and some change to pry Jimmy away from them. Other than that, you got Marcus Mariota, who happens to have a no-trade clause in his contract. So it's not that simple like, oh, Raiders want to trade him. No, you have to get his consent to be traded. So that's another hurdle that would have to be jumped. And then you got Gardner Minshew, who I think is one of the guys that's kind of not being talked enough about. This is a guy that at one time when he was given the torch to lead the Jacksonville Jaguars, he did extremely well. He was like 4-0, 5-0 his first 5 games or something like that, and was doing extremely well. And then, went through a little bit of speed bumps and kind of struggled from time to time. But that's what happens with new quarterbacks. So Gardner Minshew's a nice name to throw out there. Maybe they could get him on the cheap, because His contract's low, not going to hurt the bank. A good quarterback to bring in, and he could start easily for the Colts. That's something that could be considered as well.
Right. And, I mean, when you take a look at this, too, that's what you're talking about, trying to get somebody in there to fill in the spot that is, semi-proven or whatever,
Right.
and then trying to get it inexpensively because it is going to just be a plug-and-play type of deal.
Yes.
To kind of stop the leak for a second so we can go.
Right.
So that's the interesting conversation about this all. It's fun to talk about who could possibly fit there and things like that in situations because there's enough out there.
Absolutely.
Even they're talking about bringing Phillip Rivers out of retirement and coming back to Indianapolis for a little while.
I'll say this. Phillip Rivers, he's expressed interest, but not right now. Like, he's expressed an interest to come back in the NFL if something happens to a quarterback like mid
like
part
in
of
the
season.
playoffs.
You know what I mean? Like mid part of the season where, someone's desperate, they need to grab someone, Rivers might be available. But yeah, I mean, and it's a little bit of a weight scale, right, for Indy. They got to weigh not only salary with whoever they go after, but also draft picks that they're going to have to give up to trade. And I say draft picks, it might just be one because usually even though it's a quarterback position and it will demand a little higher compensation than normal, it still might only take a single draft pick. So it just depends on where they can negotiate that and who they could get it for.
Yeah, and absolutely. And you want to talk about draft picks here. Let's take a look at this situation here. Philadelphia Eagles. Fans were excited to get him out there when he wanted to do a trade now. So now Carson Wentz, check this out, has one more way he can screw over Eagles fans and the Eagles right now by not even being on the team. Because you remember, they did the trade with the Eagles to get him. The Eagles ended up getting a third-round pick in 2021 and a conditional pick in 2022, which is a second-rounder.
Right.
Unless he plays 75% of the games this season. If he does, then it turns to a first. And if he plays 70% and a playoff game, it turns to a first. But at this point, if you look at that 12-week scenario, they're going to get skipped out on that, and it stays a second. So he could potentially screw over the Eagles again.
Once again.
Without even being on the team anymore. Yes,
Exactly.
the Eagles fans are upset about this. I'm sure maybe a lot of them knew about this scenario, and I just let them know. So, sorry, not sorry. But, Carson Wentz and then Quinten Nelson, too. The same exact injury. How about that during the practice? Same exact injury. And
I know, isn't
he's
that
a 5 to
crazy?
12 weeks. Now, is it going to be a different scenario in the fact of come back and being able to be healthy? And I heard this before on another show. I can't recall what it is, though, but let's weigh the balances here now. Let's see. If Quinten Nelson is back with, say, 6-7 weeks and Carson Wentz is back, like 12, 11. Now, what's more important to them? Getting that,
Offensive line.
Quinten Nelson back
Absolutely.
there to help them out and then helping whatever quarter it might be. Like, is it Easton? Because I know they're still taking a look at him and say, we're going to roll with him and see how we go, which is probably their trajectory they want to do, and most teams do at this point.
They would want
until they
to go that
find
way.
out more of how he's going, week to week, whether when they go into the season what they might need.
And they don't have much time.
Oh, I know.
This is going to be within a couple of weeks. They're going to make a decision. Either they're going to stick with Eason or they're going to go and trade for a quarterback and bring him in.
So you say
They gotta
Quinten
do it
Nelson,
quickly.
they would, that's the more important aspect.
Absolutely,
of
because Quinten Nelson, like your offensive line is so important, and I know a lot of people will say, well, quarterback's more important. Yes, it is. However, you do need to protect whoever's standing back there. You do need to create running lanes for your running backs and so forth. So if you're missing a key cog like a Quinten Nelson, who is an all-pro guy, and my God, what a specimen of an offensive lineman, one of the best out there. You take the offensive lineman. I could live with a average quarterback. We've seen this before, where an average quarterback or even a below-average quarterback is behind a really good offensive line, gives him plenty of time, and he can just find the open guy, give him a little bit more time so he can deliver that football. I would totally say Quinten Nelson number one, and then Wentz could come in later. But there is new news out for Quinten Nelson. He is due back, and this is what I don't know how many sources have reported this or what have you, and I don't know if it's coming directly from Nelson himself and not the team doctors or whatever, but Nelson's claiming He will be back for week 1. He's saying that right now. He's like, there's
ready.
no way I'm missing week 1. He goes, I will be back for week 1. I will be healthy enough to play. If that happens, great. You got an Adrian Peterson body in you. You know what I mean? To heal fast. But that would be a huge lift of absolutely.
He is.
That
He's
would
happy
be a
when he plays.
huge, sense of relief for the Colts.
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely, and that's the thing too. Is for whatever quarterback might be back there again. One of the best guards in the league, if not the best. So, and that's why Carson Wentz went there. He had a better offensive line too to protect him and things like that. So,
right.
And this is the thing with this team. What they have needed is that quarterback to help them get over that hump. They need to make the playoffs here, especially while the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, are very vulnerable, and you just have to compete with some of those other types of teams in the AFC that are tough to beat.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So, all right, there you go. We talked some Indianapolis Colts. What do you guys think out there? Let us know in the comments. And also, we're going to be getting into some NFC West biggest questions in a second here. But we're going to tell you about one of our new sponsors, too, as well, Johnstone Supply. Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit about Johnstone Supply?
Yeah, I want to give a little bit of a shout-out to our people at Johnstone Supply in Troy, New York. If you're looking to upgrade your heating, ventilation, air conditioning, or more in your home, Johnstone Supply in Troy is the place to be. This month, they are offering up their Fujitsu ductless splits. We are talking about an energy-saving ultra-temp model for your home. Right now, and I mean right now, they are carrying the new J-Series VRF systems. These systems will be more efficient and flexible for any setup you have in your home. Plus, in stock, they have for you the Westinghouse made by Fujitsu for the more basic, cost-efficient option. For more information, call them today. Don't wait. Don't wait till tomorrow. You might have to wait till tomorrow. Might be a little bit late for them. But call them anyway, as soon as you can, 518-272-5922. Or visit them on 6th Avenue in Troy, New York. Call today or stop by and say hello to our boys, Tom or James or even Kevin, and tell them you heard about Johnstone Supply from us here at Football on the Know with Godzilla Media.
That's right. We're very excited to have Johnstone Supply with us. And let me tell you, heating and ventilation, you definitely need it in Troy. Let me tell you both. Because the roads are terrible in the wintertime, and the Hudson River stinks. So there you go. Go see our buddies here at Johnstone Supply.
Check them out.
All right. So here, Joe, we've been doing this week to week here. It's getting close to the season, though. We're going to be wrapping these up pretty soon. But next, we've got the NFC West biggest questions here, Joe. Let's start it off here with the Arizona Cardinals here, Joe. What do we have for some questions here for the Arizona Cardinals, if any here?
I know.
Tough with some of these
and
teams
that's the interesting thing about this division is when we went through this particular division, we were looking at the rosters, we're looking at a little bit of stats here and there and everything. We're trying to figure out what could be the biggest questions, and we had a little bit of a hard time, no lie, about this because all 4 of these teams are pretty darn solid on paper. So one question that we had is, who will be the biggest impact player for the Cardinals this season? And this is an interesting, question because it could. I mean, obviously, you gotta be like, it could be anybody. It could be it could be Isaiah Simmons, who is in his second year at linebacker, and he looks promising. It could be Zaven Collins, the new rookie that they drafted in the first round. It could be a lot of different guys, but I'm going to go with a guy who's kind of forgotten because of his injury history, and now has been brought over to Arizona from Cincinnati, none other than A.J. Green. I really believe that A.J. Green could reinvent his career in Arizona this season and make a huge impact. You already had DeAndre Hopkins there. Now you add A.J. Green as your number 2. As long as A.J. Green can stay healthy, and I know that's been a big problem for him recently, but if he stays healthy, man, he could really cash in. He was a number 1 receiver in Cincinnati in his prime, was killing it, was easily in the top 5 in the league. Now he's coming over. Yeah, he was a little injured there, had the injury bug and so forth. But coming over to Arizona, this is where he could reinvent his career and just destroy stats because a lot of people, I mean, come on, DeAndre Hopkins on the other side, they're going to be paying a lot of attention to DeAndre Hopkins. You already know that. And that could free up a lot of opportunity for A.J. Green. So, for me, biggest impact player is going to be A.J. Green.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's a place to revitalize her career, like you're saying. And he wanted out for so long out of the Bengals organization. So
and
he finally gets his spot here.
You got to wonder, how injured was he? Was he like, yeah, I got a pulled hamstring. I can't go, coach.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
you definitely get a little more injured when you don't want to be there.
You got to wonder about those things, too, because players do play those games as well. I mean, it seemed pretty odd to me, like, throughout that last season that he had with Cincinnati. It was like, oh, he's due to be back this week, in week 6 or 7 or whatever. And then, oh, no, he's not coming back this week. He's not coming back the following week, not coming back again, not coming back. Then before you know it, the season's over and he's never played. So you got to wonder about those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at even some of the additions that they've added to this team, J.J. Watt being some, but then also you're getting Chandler Jones back. I mean, that could be, for me, one of the most impactful players here because who still stepped up last year for him was Hassan Riddick, who hasn't really done a whole lot within his career except for last year, and now he's gone. So Chandler Jones back in here, one of the high sack leaders in the NFL, unnoticed a lot. So that could be very impactful for this team, on this defense.
True.
That has a couple other people. And then Isaiah Simmons right there, too, as well.
The other thing about Chandler Jones is he wants out right now. He's demanded a trade from Arizona. Why? Have no idea. I mean, why after you coming back from injury? And you look at this team right now. They could win right now. I'm not saying they're going to go deep or anything like that. They could easily make the playoffs for sure with this team if they stay healthy and they stay together. But Chandler Jones, a career double-digit sack leader all the time. I mean, this guy is phenomenal. And now that they brought over a guy like J.J. Watt, maybe with those two on the football field together, they could really wreak havoc in the backfield for sure. So that's an interesting, thing right now is that's in limbo. Is Chandler Jones has now he's already requested a trade once at Arizona. Will that happen? I don't think it will happen likely because it takes two to tango, right? And what are they really asking for a guy like Chandler Jones in terms of compensation? Are they asking for a first rounder? Are they asking for a second rounder? Are they asking for a third rounder and change? You know what I mean? So. All those things would have to be ironed out, but as of right now, I don't think Jones is on the move anywhere because you don't hear anything. It's like crickets out there for him. Maybe there's phone calls in the back end that they're having, but as of right now, he is an Arizona Cardinal.
Yeah, one of the questions now I have for this team here, and it's probably easily answered potentially, but does Kyler Murray need to run as much as he did last season? Last season he almost ran 1,000 yards for a quarterback, but that could be harmful to your team. Not every. Yes, that's part of their part of their skill set. Yeah. Part of their offense as well too, in his talent that he has. What you want to be able to run though, and he has been able to get out of bounds, like you and I have talked about before when we were talking about
taking hits,
but not taking hits, which is good. But what happens when that does happen? When do you put your quarterback out there, who is the main guy of your offense, running your offense? When is asking too much there for them? Because you got to be able to have your running game. I understand that, and having you being able to be a mobile quarterback, that works as well too. But how much is too much to where maybe you might getting him more injury prone or wearing him out a little bit?
What I would say about this question is I would say just keep him playing the way he is. Do not change anything. Don't do what what the Washington at the time Redskins did to RG3. Where RG3 was kind of like that dual threat quarterback, took off and ran and got some yardage and would throw the ball. And that's really what made him so captivating is because he was hard to defend. Same thing with Kyler Murray. Same thing with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson doesn't do it as much, but he can. He has the ability to. So with Kyler Murray, I wouldn't change anything. He's a very smart quarterback and that's where not taking those hits comes into play because once he senses a guy close by or a guy that's coming up to make the big hit, he either slides underneath the tackle or he gets out of bounds if he can. So he's a very smart quarterback on the run, super difficult to stop, and I wouldn't change anything in terms of his play. I think he's doing phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, and he has been very impactful to him again, though.
Also,
but you do have.
I do want to mention this real quick, too. His backup quarterback might play a bigger role without even stepping on the football field, and that's Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy has a ton of experience throughout the league. He's been on different teams. He's learned different types of offenses and has seen a lot of different defenses. So that could really play big time for Kyler Murray in his mental game. You know, going on the sides, having any questions that he might have for Colt McCoy, and Colt McCoy will most likely have every answer possible. So I think that's going to play huge dividends for him this season as well.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. You want him to be part of your offense, but you don't want to be all of that whole thing to have him be running too as well, because I think that could be partially a problem for them moving forward. Right. Plus, you have all these weapons to throw to too. I mean, it's there. That's what's amazing about this team. So when you try to find questions here, what other questions do you have?
Right.
So, all right, Joe, you guys one more.
Right.
What do you have?
Know-it-alls out there. If you have any questions about any of these teams as we go through, feel free to drop down in the comment section below. If you throw anything at us, we'll be gladly to interact with you and answer any of your questions. Also, if you have an opinion, feel free to do so. We'll read it off on the show and give you some kudos on that. Next question we got is, what's the risk reward for the Cardinals defense this season? And this is going to be tricky because the reason why we came up with this question is because it could go either way. Like this past offseason, we all know that they've had a lot of holes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They had some guys leave. And now you look at their team now, a lot of changing parts, and a lot of them older vets that came in. Mm-hmm. You look at Malcolm Butler, the cornerback, comes in to kind of hopefully solidify that one corner spot. You got Robert Alford, who is healthy now. Looks like he's gonna take over the other opposite side of that corner. You got guys like Marcus Golden coming over from the Giants, played admirably well for the Giants and now with the Cardinals. He's going to pay off huge dividends, I feel like. And they are running a 3-4 defense. So you look at their linebacking core right now. Chandler Jones, as long as he's still there. You got two really young guys in Isaiah Simmons and Zaven Collins. Mm-hmm. And then Marcus Golden on the other end. These four linebackers, this is the key to this defense right here. Mm-hmm. Because not only are they playing that big-time linebacking role in a 3-4 defense, but also it's going to be they also can cover. That's the scary thing, is they're not like just guys that can play close to the line of scrimmage and stop the run, you know what I mean, or blitz or something like that. These guys can cover. Isaiah Simmons did cover in college wide receivers on the outside, no joke. And Zaven Collins did kind of the same as well. So that's going to be interesting to watch right there. And then you got the vets. You got J.J. Watt. Corey Peters comes over to play nose tackle for them. Another vet. Zach Allen, another vet. So that alone, it looks like they got a kind of a nice mix of vets and youth. But how long will these vets last? That's the problem there. That's where it kind of gets a little dicey. Will J.J. Watt last all season? You know? Will Malcolm Butler, coming back from a big-time injury, will he be able to stay healthy? There's a lot of ifs, as you can tell. So the risk-reward now, the risk is all those injuries happening. You know, then they're left with like a skeleton of a defense. But the reward is tremendous, because if you get production all season long from Watt, you know, from Chandler Jones, from Malcolm Butler playing on the corner spot, Robert Alford, and all these guys, this defense could really turn it around really quickly.
Yes, you can.
Yes, they could. And again, I think a little silent kind of team out there that not a lot of people are expecting a whole lot out of, moving forward. And in a division that's going to be, I think, a lot tighter this year than people imagine.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the next team, we have the Los Angeles Rams. Rams, they have maybe a few questions here. I mean, they did lose a couple of personnel here on offense, but they still have a lot of core guys still here. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp right there, and now Van Jefferson, I think, moves up into the slot position here for them at wide receiver, fills up some holes there. But we heard about it during the offseason here with Cam Akers going down and them not looking for a running back right now. Joe, what kind of questions do you have here for the Los Angeles Rams?
Well, the Rams, I would say my first question would be, what could we expect from the Rams offense this season? And this goes a lot of different ways, right? What can we expect from Sean McVay? How much of the playbook will he tweak or change a little bit? Because now he has a new quarterback. He has Matt Stafford there, coming over from Detroit. And as well as I do, we both agree that we love Stafford. We think he's a great quarterback. We think that he's proven himself. And despite his record or whatever in Detroit, you got to give the guy credit. This guy made Detroit at least viable week to week. You know what I mean? I mean, when he came into the league early on in his career, all he had was Calvin Johnson. And that was pretty much it. There was no other weapons for him.
Right. I mean, and if you look at some of the other guys even, let's look at Marvin Jones. What else has he really even done now, since? And now
he's a number 2.
Yeah.
And Golden Tate.
And now he's on a different team. So, I mean, what's he going to be able to do with other teams? You've only seen some of these other guys. And maybe that's even why even some people try and dog him a little bit. It's like, oh, you got Calvin Johnson, so whatever. You can do whatever. But, and maybe some people look at him, too, just because of recently his injury that he had a season prior than last year. But this guy's been solid, playing 16 for 16 for continuous years. Over 4,000 yards continuously, except for 2 or 3 that he got injured for most of the season in both of those. But besides that, even during injuries, this guy
he's tough
as nails, accurate, and a good arm too as well.
We've seen him have comeback wins with his arm hanging off his shoulder. Like he had a dislocated shoulder at one point, and they popped it in place, and he still led his team to win, as bad as they were. So I mean, you got to give it up for Stafford, but. What can this offense look like? I mean, so Sean McVay, I kind of expect we all know the Rams offense utilizes a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of plays like that, like RPOs and what have you. Do I think they're going to do the same thing? I think they'll kind of sprinkle those in, but I don't think they'll do them as often now that they have Stafford. Now you have the coach himself, Sean McVay, has to have complete confidence in Matt Stafford. He's been there, done that, has a ton of experience, can win big-time games, has ice in his veins, and he can deliver all the passes, right? So quick decision maker, accurate, all that. Now you pair him up with a receiving core, which he's never had this good. Never had this good. And to mention, the 4 of them is Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, who's still kind of coming into his own, came on strong late last season. You got Robert Woods, and you also have a guy that they signed in free agency, Deshaun Jackson, a speedster that can take the roof off the defense. So with those 4 coming from Detroit, are you kidding me? Now he's got 4 legit receivers that he could throw to. I think he's in his glory for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, what could his offense be? Everything that Sean McVay has done. And now he has a quarterback that I think is a veteran and capable enough. There won't be any questions back there, because the other question I had here with this whole thing, if you want to talk about Matthew Stafford, is, and what some people had asked during this trade, what are you getting out of Stafford here when you did that trade? Because, yes, Jared Goff, it seemed like he was the guy that was, oh, shucks me here and there. But, I mean, if you look at some of his numbers, he really wasn't horrible. But every time when it came down to some of those big moments, it seemed he didn't step up enough. And every time, I think it seemed, too, in bigger moments, everybody was looking behind him over at Sean McVay and never even at him and what are you doing? Is this all you? Is it still questioning him and everything? So I think having that loom over him because of that first season that he had with Jeff Fisher, it wasn't very good, got better with Sean McVay, and plus the money there, too, as well. People just had too many questions here with this kid. And like, are you going to be able to push us forward to the next level? And that's the thing you have with Matthew Stafford, because the consistency you have, the toughness, the mental capacity here too as well. I think Sean McVay can go to Stafford and he just soaks it right up, and he's good to go. Yep, let's get it done. And he's got the better arm too as well. And like you said, now the arsenal at his hands here to throw it to. I mean, it would be amazing to see what you get out of it. And that's what you're getting out of this whole trade with him. So either way, it was a win for the Rams. Maybe not so much for the Detroit Lions, but I think it was a win for them. But I think it was a loss for Goff. I think in a sense, just because he had to go to that type of town that's still on that building type of. Incline. Hey. They're trying to get better, trying to start over. So it was tougher for him. It kind of feels like he got left, dropped off in Siberia and said, peace out, homie, and say bye, and he's like, gosh, here I am. What am I going to do? I guess I got to try and get some sticks to build a fire.
The one thing that I'll say about Goff's situation is that I think it's good for him, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's young.
Well, that's what I mean. And plus, you have McVay off of your back, so he's not behind you.
But he's super young to where even though they're kind of still in rebuild mode, he'll be able to grow with that team. So as they get more and more young talent, I mean, they got a hell of a running back already in DeAndre Swift. Now you surround him, and they have TJ Hawkinson at tight end. So those are two nice weapons right now on offense. And then you just fill in the blanks. You fill in more wide receivers around him. And that offense could change pretty quickly. I still think you got to upgrade on that offensive line, and that's another thing for Stafford. He's got a better offensive line now going with the Rams, so overall a better offense. But yeah, I think this is it's a good situation for both.
All right, so what other questions do you have here for the Los Angeles Rams?
So for the Rams, my last question I have is, has the Rams defense gone through a little bit too much of a turnover this offseason? I mean, you look at Michael Brockers gets traded away. I mean, a really good D lineman gets traded to none other than Detroit. You know what I mean? So he joins his buddy Jared Goff there. You look at guys at the linebacking positions. Some new faces now in place, and it makes you kind of gotta wonder. How much are they going to be able? Are they going to be able to be as good as they were last year? You also remember John Johnson III. Yeah, one of the best safeties in the league. He left via free agency. He went to Cleveland. He said, I'm out of here. Who do you have in place of him? You got a guy by the name of Jordan Fuller at the moment, penciled in as the starter. And then and then Juju Hughes, Taylor Rapp, who is one of the more well-known Rams there. He's still competing for that safety job. So there's a lot of, fluctuation here with the safety position. I'm not really sure the Rams really know who their true safeties are just yet. And also, you got to wonder. You look at their linebacking core, like I mentioned before. They got some new faces. They got Leonard Floyd there still, who looks like he'll still continue that kind of rush off the edge, thing that he does. And then you got Micah Kaiser, who was injured last year. He looking to come back healthy. A lot of new guys. Darius Williams is a new addition from the Baltimore Ravens at corner to play. It looks like to play opposite Jalen Ramsey, but he hasn't had a lot of experience. He's only like 25 years old. Hasn't really started for the Ravens. So it's like you're bringing in a guy who's still unproven. So to me, I would just say like they've gone through so much turnover. I'm not sure having Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, just those two guys, to make big, to make some big plays happen. They're not going to be enough. They need to have a more well-rounded defense. And I could be wrong. By looking at this team, heck, Rams are another one of those teams, much like Seattle, that do find hidden talent. And when they do get their opportunity, they tend to seem to rise to the occasion. So we'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, on paper, what I'm looking at and the players that I know, I think that they've gone through a little bit too much this past offseason, and I'm not sure if we're going to see as dominant of a Rams D as we are used to.
All right, so taking that in consideration here, and with the addition of Matthew Stafford, and the fact that they've kind of mortgaged the future to bank on right now,
to win
that,
now.
And that margin is getting shorter by the years. Do you think now they are still a favorite to win this division? Because remember last year even they placed second in this division but went to the divisional championship game in the playoffs, so they still made it that far and were able to make a push here, and then made the quarterback change even after getting that far.
Right, and that's the thing too. And for me, the offense is better. Like, I think the offense got better. They have more weapons. They have better weapons, and with Stafford, there's no question that he's a lockdown, legit starter. Not going to have to worry about him. Offensive line is healthy once again. And the running back situation, as though, we don't have Todd Gurley. Oh, we don't have Cam Akers for this season. Again, Cam Akers hurt for the second straight season, and now he's not going to make this season. But Darrell Henderson, he's capable, so I'm not worried about him either. So offense, I think they're solid. Don't have to worry about them. But defensively is where I'm a little concerned. I don't know how good they're going to be with all these new changes there. And although some of those young players have shown flashes last season when they got on the football field, Now you're the guy. No more John Johnson to save your rear ends over the top. A lot of changes have happened. No more. I forgot the kid's name who played corner for them last year, young kid. But now you got a guy who's a little unproven there. So for me, the defense I feel is not going to even be close to what they were last year. But their offense will probably be better than last year. So it's kind of like all offense, maybe a little defense. So for me, in terms of being a favorite, I don't think they're going to be a favorite. I think they are really going to have to work to get up to the top of the division.
All right, excellent. There you go. That's the Los Angeles Rams. We're talking about the NFC West. Biggest questions. Joe, I see you're getting really excited out there. I know you got a lot of energy.
Oh, yeah, baby.
What's going on with you, buddy? What is it?
Oh, it's got to be the Rays. It's got to be the Rays, baby. This stuff is absolutely amazing. This is like an energy drink like no other. This is straight out of Florida, everybody. Made in the USA. It's fantastic. 0 dyes, 0 sugar. It's got electrolytes. It's got amino acids. It's got everything you could possibly need to get you through your day and before your workout starts. So if you need some energy from day to day, this is the place to go to. Go to repsports.com. Enter the promo code RAISEMUP. You can get 15% off all your orders, as well as they are running promos right now that you can get. I know they came out with a brand new flavor called Rainbow. They're giving away 4 Rainbow cans to try. All you have to do is pay shipping. That is it. But make sure you got to use that promo code RAISEMUP to get the deals.
They have Raise cakes out now too, Joe.
Yes,
you
protein
see those
Raise
things?
cakes, baby.
Protein cakes.
I like it.
Buy one, get one 50% off.
Well, yeah.
You got to go to repsports.com.
Absolutely.
Go there. Put in the promo code RAISEMUP. That's our promo code special just for you know-it-alls out there. Get the 15% off, and let me tell you, it is going to change your mind. It is going to revolutionize energy drinks here.
Yes,
Join the Rays Rebellion here, and join it along with us here. Many great flavors here. I got Baja Lime. He has South Beach.
I have South Beach. Yeah, and just so you guys know, these aren't just your typical normal flavors. You get on there, you're going to see some flavors you're like, what the hell's that? Like South Beach? What's that taste like? They got Baja Lime.
Amazing.
They got what? Sour gummy worms. They got Galaxy. They got Apollo. They got Phantom. They got all kinds of flavors like that. And I want you guys, if you do try Raise Energy, which you should, I want you to guys let us know in the comment section, what flavor did you get? What do you think it tastes like? Because I'm telling you right now, it's pretty hard to pick out what these things taste like sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a pic with the can. Hashtag it with...
no crash, baby.
Yeah.
You get no crash from these. Dude, I am hyped up on energy, and when this wears off, I don't feel any crash.
Good.
I don't feel drowsy. I'm still all right.
Absolutely.
Great. Get some.
Yeah, we're ready to go here. And now it's the NFC West. Biggest questions here. Moving along. We are getting next to the San Francisco 49ers. What's the biggest question here for me? And I guess my biggest question for the 49ers will be, will Jimmy G start the whole season here now? I mean, that's the thing. That's the question that a lot of people are asking. And I know when it came down to draft time, there was a lot of rumors going around. Who were they going to get? And then last minute it comes in.
A lot of people
that
thought
maybe,
Mac Jones was the shoe-in.
And Trey Lance there. They get Trey Lance. But, again, he's kind of a little bit of
developmental
guy. Exactly. But you know the way fans are. Maybe not San Francisco fans so much, but just fans in general, and then even the media, they have got to get this narrative going. Jimmy G, I mean, he got there, was like in that undefeated streak, so with the Patriots, got traded there, got the bigger contract, and now he kind of, if you look at it, hasn't really lived up to it so much.
No.
He got to the big game and big time
One
choked.
time.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Those big moments didn't live up to him. So now,
I mean,
it's gone to the fact where this team had to pick that high, and they go quarterback.
I mean, I won't put it completely against Jimmy G for, like, choking in the big game, because a lot of it was his own offensive coordinator's fault. You know what I mean? Like, he was calling passing plays towards the end of the game when you just need to run the clock.
Yeah.
Just run the clock, bro. You can kill off enough time where it's impossible for the Patriots to come back. But he didn't. He kept trying to throw the ball and try to, like, prove something. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I kind of put more of the blame on the coaching staff.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I've seen it in moments, didn't really step up to the plate for there. And, this is what you're going to hear. The murmurs, the rumors that are going to be kicking around.
I mean,
the moment he does not play well, because this is, you heard about it. When they were in the playoff game, they're like, Jimmy, you only threw this many passes in this game. You ran a lot. What's up with that? How do you feel comfortable with that? This and that. And it's whatever. We're running the game. We won the game. That's our game plan. We successfully implemented our game plan and accomplished it.
That's it. Done.
There we go. But, again, with that quarterback picked that high, you're going to hear about it.
I mean, you're going to hear about
will it
it.
A mistake or not?
You're going to hear about it more from fans than anything. But the organization, it seems like they're pretty steadfast on having Jimmy G be their starting quarterback. Now, I mean, I would think that like maybe I mean, it's kind of like what you're asking is like, can he stay healthy? Bottom line,
that's true too.
Do I think he can stay the quarterback all season? Yeah. I mean, we've seen him flash, great plays. With this offense, I mean, and now you look at with them having not just one but now two legitimate wide receivers, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, along with George Kittle at tight ends, and a whole plethora of running backs behind him. There's no reason for him not to be successful. So for me, it would be a bigger thing of like, can he stay healthy? Like that's the biggest thing, because if he can stay healthy, I think the Niners offense will be just fine. They don't need listen, they would love Trey Lance to learn the playbook, to get all the nuances out of order and be ready to go, obviously. But when you have a veteran presence like Jimmy G, you don't need to rush. You don't need to rush his development and just kind of throw him out there. If he's ready, that's one thing. But and he has to outperform Jimmy G in preseason games. Because you're hearing a lot right now out of Niners camp. You're saying, oh, Trey Lance delivering dimes. Oh, Trey Lance is doing this, that, and the other thing. Trey Lance, look at this throw that he made. That's all well and good. But you got to take it like a grain of salt. Because in training camp, they're not trying to kill each other. They're not trying to be real. Like, they're physical, but they're not like.
Except for the Giants camp.
Yeah. But they're not trying to like. Obviously they're not going to have that, not trying to hurt anybody. Everybody wants to stay healthy and that sort of thing. Preseason games, let's find out what he can do in preseason games. If he lights it up in preseason games, then you got to have that conversation. Like, I know we said Jimmy G's going to be our starter, but with the way Trey Lance has been playing, maybe we make the switch. But then you get to the regular season, and it's a whole different ball game. Because that's when all the defensive coordinators pull out their tricks, right? Stunts and blitzes and different looks to confuse them. So I think Jimmy G will be the starter going forward. I'm a huge Trey Lance fan. I would love nothing more than to see him, obviously, just like a lot of the other Niner fans. They would really want to see him on the field as soon as possible. But you got to be cautious with this thing, because you don't want to rush a quarterback in too soon and kind of ruin his development, right? And when you have a veteran like Jimmy G who can kind of ride it out a little longer and see how far you can go.
All right, yeah, absolutely. So what else? What do you have for a question for the 49ers?
I mean, I don't know how we don't ask this question right here, but will the 49ers defense still be dominant after Robert Saleh's departure? I mean, this is going to be a big change for the 49ers. And not just a change as far as, scheme-wise. I mean, you know that they promote, for the most part, within to be the next D coordinator. And it's like, you look at this team now, there's a couple of pieces that were there last year that now have moved on to other teams. Akilo Weatherspoon is one of them. Now he, staying in a division, staying inside the division, jumps over to Seattle and is now their potential starting corner. But now you look at a lot of guys that were injured last year coming back. Nick Bosa, you know what I mean? Eric Armstead coming back healthy. You got Javon Kinlaw, who's kind of holding it down at D-tackle. But beyond that, how will this team change now? Robert Saleh was such an aggressive defensive play caller, a guy that was in your face a lot, a guy that wasn't afraid to have man-to-man coverage and blitz or just create tons and tons of pressure. And with this defensive line that the Niners have, there's you don't need to. I mean, they're so talented that you could just let the four guys rush and have a stronger coverage scheme. So it's going to be interesting, I think. Without Robert Saleh there, it's going to be different. It's not going to be the same tenacity. Like, he was kind of like a player's coach in a way. Very in tune with his players, was very personable, got them hyped up for game day. Like he's so passionate that he would get everybody riled up and as he was calling defensive plays that were so aggressive, the players loved it. Now you got to wonder how much of that is going to change because it is a different D coordinator altogether. So,
yeah, we got D'Amico Ryans
right.
over there. But
that's what I was just going to get to.
I guess from the Houston Texans, linebacker.
But that's
again,
my point, though.
Defensive coordinator here coming into a team that a lot of people think are a potential playoff team if they stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as long as they don't play in the Meadowlands, right? I mean, because they complained horribly about that
the
field. Not only when they played the Jets, and I think then they played the Giants, and they still had more injuries after that. They were just this play just sucks. We keep getting hurt, and this is the problem. But even after all those injuries, though, that's the thing about this team too. They work together as a cohesive group, and we're still able to play hard and win some games still, despite missing most of the players on their roster here and the most injuries throughout the league of any team. So now getting everybody back healthy, it's potentially good. But again, how much will that differ from what Robert Saleh would do here with D'Amico Ryans right there?
That's the biggest change
as a defensive coordinator.
And my problem is just that is D'Amico Ryans doesn't have experience. Like, obviously, yeah, he played linebacker in the NFL, but that doesn't make you automatically a really good D coordinator or a defensive mind. So D'Amico Ryans, I think he's going to be kind of like that player's coach type of deal, but I'm not really sure on the X's and O's. Robert Saleh had both. Robert Saleh was a player's coach, and he was extremely smart on the defensive side of the ball, whereas D'Amico Ryans, I know he has knowledge, obviously, of defense, but calling it and actually playing in defense is completely different. So he's going to be on the outside looking in and trying to make calls as he watches the offense. So I think he may struggle from time to time with play calls.
Well, you will see moving forward. So what's your last question here for the San Francisco 49ers then, Joe?
Well, for the San Francisco 49ers, I have who will be the true starter at running back for the 49ers.
Have they ever really had even a true starter, though, I guess?
Yeah,
I mean, they mix it around,
have.
Here and there.
They definitely have, but then they get hurt, and then the next guy steps up, and then they get hurt, and then the next guy.
True.
Look at Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah.
Jerick McKinnon, when he was brought in, you look at they had like 5 running backs that were all starting caliber. And then Jerick McKinnon was lights out, was amazing. And then he got hurt. He's done for the year. You know what I mean? The next guy come up, Raheem Mostert. He's amazing. Gets hurt. Done for the year. You know what I mean? Then the next guy, Tevin Coleman at the time. He plays well, you know what I mean? So, but now this year is a little it's a little bit different. But this year is a little bit different because now you do still have Raheem Mostert, and you have guys that they brought in like Wayne Gallman. They drafted a couple guys, and one of the guys that they drafted, I'm head over heels about. Like it's almost kind of dangerously man crush style because Trey Sermon out of Ohio State was not only a phenomenal running back in college, but a guy who is, for his size, he's got size to him. He's a big-size running back, but he's fast, he's physical, and he can catch out of the backfield. That's dangerous. He can also block, too. He can do it all. I think Trey Sermon could definitely make a push for starting. And you got to remember, too, Mostert is coming back from another injury. So how much is that going to affect him going forward? I still think he's going to be competitive no matter what. And most likely has the inside track to be the starter. But there's no denying Trey Sermon. I think he could really surprise people in training camp, in preseason games, and make a push for, if he doesn't get the start, at least to get on the football field quite often.
Absolutely. I think that's what they're looking forward to when they went out and drafted him. Because remember also back a few years back, Raheem Mostert was ready to sit out. He was complaining about getting a new contract.
Yeah.
I'm underpaid here
wanted
and there.
To be out.
And what he was doing, wanted to be out. And he was putting up some good numbers. And he was a nice story for this team too. Kind of getting looked over in a bunch of different teams. And now finally finding a home, it seemed like, for them. But again, the injuries pile on. And now it's time to move on, especially, with that contract and what has he been able to put out for them lately. And this has been a team that's been kind of a run-first type of organization, too.
Definitely.
What can I do to mix it up? You saw it back when whatchamacallit, just want to say it, freaking Kyle Shanahan. Damn it. Kyle Shanahan. He had the running backs of Tevin Coleman and things like that.
Yep, Raheem Mostert, Jerick McKinnon.
You had them. No, but even back in Atlanta, he was still even running solid with a running game, too, even though he had Matt Ryan, even though he had Julio Jones and those offensive weapons there, too, as well. He still utilized the run and mixed it up.
Devontae Freeman, baby.
Yeah, there you go. And now he even grabs a little hidden gem maybe for this team, too. And, and Wayne Gallman even back there, too. Who kind of turned on a little bit last year. I've been down on him always, too. I wanted him out of the New York Giants organization because it seemed every time, he was out there to fill in some gaps, didn't play so well. Whenever he went out on the screen pass, would tip it or get popped, and then it's a fumble back for a pick or touchdown and things like that.
Yeah, and
mistakes
fumbles were
like
an
that.
issue.
But it seemed like last year when he filled in for an injured Saquon Barkley, he seemed to be comfortable and finally moving and settling into his own. So now move him in with, say, Raheem Mostert, and then also, like you said, Trey Sermon there.
Yeah.
It's the perfect opportunity for him, and they're not asking too much out of him. So I think that's a nice 1-2 punch out of them there. But if, again, you want to say who is their true starter, at this point, it's got to be Raheem Mostert.
He's got the inside
because
track
he's
for
got
sure.
the inside track, exactly. But moving forward, we could see something completely different here.
And isn't that funny how the 49ers, they still manage to have at least 3 running backs that can play. You know what I mean? They still find the talent.
Yeah, just keep mixing it up. Next year, like, they got these 3 now. So it's going to be very exciting to see this offense here again and see this defense work function here together without Robert Saleh and completely healthy. So I'm excited to take a look at this
team. It's a little bit of a trade-off. Everyone's back healthy, but no Saleh.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to the last team in this division that we're going to cover, and that is the Seattle Seahawks here, Joe. All right, so my big question, I guess, is one of the biggest questions for me is if they miss the playoffs now, will Russell Wilson ask for a trade now? You saw he was kind of standoffish and kind of upset with the organization, similar to what Deshaun Watson was doing, and now Aaron Rodgers saying, I want to be more involved in decisions again because I'm asking you right now for help. And it didn't seem like you're listening. So what else do I need to do? Put me in that chair. At least listen to me for once. And if you just listen to me, I'm the guy out there seeing these things. I'm the guy out there running for my life. I'm the guy out there taking
hits.
all of those hits. You know what I mean?
40-plus hits.
Oh, big time. Yeah, he's getting 40-plus hits, like you said, continuously, consecutively, season after season. But he's still one of those elite type of quarterbacks there, too, as well. You heard people asking about, is he going to be the MVP last year? He was right there on track with Aaron Rodgers. But then towards the midway of the season, towards the tail end, I think some of those hits were even starting to play its effect on him and taking a toll on him as well. So for me, if, again, they don't make the playoffs this year, even though they added a few more pieces for the offensive line, is he still frustrated? Does he want out? Is he going to complain?
I think that was the biggest thing for him is he wanted to see action being taken. He wanted to see, hey, listen, if you don't want to upgrade my offensive line and help protect me and give me what I need, then trade me. Then get me out of here. I'll go to a team, gladly to a different team, and play for them. I don't want to be here any longer, but I need to be protected. You know what I mean? It wasn't about money. It was more about you paid me all the money in the world kind of deal, but you're not protecting your asset. You're not protecting me. So I'm taking a lot of hits. I need action. So they did respond, though. It might have taken them a little longer than you would hope, but they finally got the hint. But like, hey, he's really serious. Does he really mean that? He wants to be traded? I don't know. But then they started to make some changes. So you already know that they had an all-pro tackle by the name of Dwayne Brown there at left tackle. But they also got guys like Damian Lewis, who's kind of coming into his own, a young player who's developing at left guard. Ethan Pocic is a very good veteran center for them. They still have him. They make a big trade here for right guard position. And they pull a trade off with the Raiders to get Gabe Jackson, now solidifying that right guard position. But to me, they didn't do enough at the right tackle. They brought over a guy from the Jets who is very young, don't get me wrong, but Brandon Shell, the son of Art Shell, one of the greatest offensive linemen in history, isn't that great. He's just not that great. He's actually pretty bad. So that we'll have to keep a monitor on for this upcoming season to see maybe he can develop and play a little bit better than what he did in his previous seasons with the Jets. But But all in all, they did make an effort to upgrade this offensive line. They heard loud and clear Russell Wilson's demands, and they did their best to meet them. Now let's see if it all works out on the football field, because it's all great to look at this on the sheet and say, well, they got this new guy, they got that new guy. I think they'll be good. Let's see if they can, chemistry-wise, that offensive line can gel and put up a more productive pass protection for Russell Wilson.
Reality is often disappointing.
But I will say this too about Russell Wilson. Do I think at the end of the year, let's just say if they don't make the playoffs, and Russell Wilson, like we took a look at it before, he has 2 years remaining on his deal after the season.
Right.
So, and the perfect time if you were going to trade Russell Wilson would be next season. That's when what is it? Is it
after June 1st, right?
After June 1st. So post June 1st,
significantly,
they'll be able to get some cap space by doing that. They're still going to share a little bit of a dead cap money, like about $11 million, $10 million, something like that. But all in all, they'll get I believe like a $24 million in cap space or some deal.
Yeah, I think so. Let me bring it up quick.
But anyway, that's the time to trade him. If they're going to trade him, if he wants out and they're going to trade him, next season would be the target year to trade him where they don't suffer any major penalties.
All right, here we go. Let's take a look at it here. Cut it down. Trade post June 1st next year, and they will be taking it's a $13 million deal, and they'll be dead hit, and they'll be saving $24 million straight up. There
I
you
was
go.
close.
Boom.
I was close.
You were right on there, just about
close. But yeah, so I mean
really nice.
That's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. I don't think Russell Wilson is that type, though. Like, he complained one year, and they did something for him, and then I'm out. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But, hey.
It's tough.
This is where Seattle has to prove next season, next offseason, they need to add a better right tackle, for one. They need to look to upgrade around Russell Wilson as well as his defense, because the defense isn't getting any younger, any better. I mean, they just pulled over, and that brings me to my next question about Seattle is the defensive line still a weakness? I'm sorry, but I don't think they did enough this offseason. It was a weakness last year. You look at a guy like L.J. Collier, who they drafted in the first round in 2019, and he looked to be their next franchise DN, their next guy at defensive end that was going to create a lot of pressure and be that tenacious end for them. But, man, has he been drastically disappointing. And so much so that right now he's penciled as a backup. That's not good. That's a big-time bust there. So now you look at their D-line. You got Kerry Hyder, who they bring over from the Niners, kind of like an under-the-radar player. I believe that he's a solid DN for them. Not a great DN, but at least he can fill that role. They got Poona Ford, who's been a staple with Seattle, a pretty darn good player. He's still going to lock down that nose tackle position. Al Woods, which is kind of like a reach for me. Al Woods, he's like 35 years old, a veteran who's been around. He's at the tail end of his rope, and I think that's just a desperation move right there. And then Darrell Taylor, who very unknown type of player and a guy who hasn't even proven anything. He's young, but I feel like he's going to struggle against some of these really good tackles that are out there to even get close to the quarterback and stop the run. So when you take that all into consideration, I don't think that this defensive line got any better. And in fact, they might have it's just a lateral move. You know what I mean? They didn't get any worse. They didn't get any better. They're kind of just about the same from last season. So for me, that's probably their biggest weakness on the defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've already covered even how much did the offensive line improve here to help Russell Wilson in this whole thing. So,
yeah, we tied that all in together.
Yeah, so in finality here, I think one big question for all the teams here, I think it's really exciting to take a look at and you want to debate, who in this division has the best wide receiving core? So you see the personnel that's there. They're pretty close. If you see DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett here for this team, Will Disley, too, also did well at the tight end position. If you want to add tight ends into the mix, too, as well.
Okay.
Plus, if you look at Cooper Kupp and
You look at the Rams. I mean, they got the
Rams, too,
deepest
as well.
receiving core. You know, you got Deshaun Jackson, you got Cooper Kupp, you got Robert Woods, and you have Van Jefferson. Now, Van Jefferson, I'll say this. He's not, exactly proven yet. I mean, he played okay his rookie year. Let's see how much better he gets his second year. But that's four receivers that I feel like they're deep. They're all pretty good. But let's see what happens with Stafford. They might even be better. And then you look at the Cardinals. They got DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Green, Andy Isabella, Christian Kirk. So for the Cardinals, I would think they would be like kind of second on that list. And here's why. Like you're like, wait, they got Hopkins and they got Green. Well, Green, let's see if he can stay healthy for one. Hopkins, no doubt about it, one of the best receivers in the league. But then you get to Christian Kirk, who he's shown some things, but hasn't been really given the full opportunity to be the starter, the full-time starter. So we still got to learn a few things about Christian Kirk. And Andy Isabella, I feel bad for this guy. This guy has all the talent in the world, is extremely fast, and he kind of just sits behind everybody. Doesn't really get on the football field enough. So that's kind of where like I would rank him. And then you have the Niners, who basically have two stud receivers in Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. Really good. But beyond that, there's nothing really scary. I mean, they got two guys that are legitimate, and that's it. And then, of course, you have Seattle, who have the two big-time playmakers for them, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So, all in all, like if you're looking at depth-wise, I feel like you have to go with the Rams because they have the most proven and deepest kind of top four receivers. And then from there, it's a lot of potential. So I would think it'd be like Cardinals would be second because we still got to see more from Andy Isabella and Christian Kirk to kind of boost them up. A.J. Green, can he stay healthy? And then the other two guys, it's basically they got two stud receivers, and that's it.
There you go. Yeah, I think I agree with you too as well. And you see what this offense does yearly. The 49ers, again, they've been mainly run first.
Yep.
And
the Seahawks are kind of the same.
The Seahawks are kind of the same, even too. Yeah, with having Chris Carson back there and the multiple running backs along with Russell Wilson back there as well, and even Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Despite some of all the weapons that they have, they were I think top 5 in rushing last year, and a lot of it was Kenyon Drake and Kyler Murray. I mean, Drake's no longer there, but Kyler Murray's still there, putting up, like I said, 900 so yards.
But the thing with that is
a lot of running too as well.
Is that's more because of the offensive line play than anything. It's not Kyler Murray looking to run the ball,
right?
Because he does look to throw the ball as much as he possibly can. But if the pass rush is there, I mean, he's got to take off and get what he can. So maybe it'll be different now because. Yeah, now you have Hopkins, but you also have A.J. Green and these youngsters behind them. So maybe it does tend to open up the defense and spread them all out a little further to where you might be able to find somebody a lot sooner now.
Absolutely. So that is our NFC West biggest questions. That's right. That's it for us tonight. We had a lot of fun with you guys.
This
is
is
our
amazing.
first night here with Godzilla Media. We are going to be upping the show again back up to 2 hours pretty soon, probably next week too, as well as we get closer to the league start.
There'll be a lot more to
before
talk
we run
about.
too as well. We have also the NFL starting, next
Tomorrow
year.
night.
Tomorrow night.
You got
starting
preseason,
tomorrow night.
baby.
We have the Hall of Fame game where it's the Cowboys and the Steelers. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of starters
Will
within
Big
that game.
Ben retire before preseason?
Right. Right? Is Mason Rudolph really the true heir, or is it going to be Dwayne Haskins? We'll know here over the next couple games.
All I know is I know a lot of Cowboys fans are kind of really fascinated and excited about Zeke, the new physique of Zeke. I mean, that guy looks in phenomenal shape right now. He used to be the fat gerbil last season, and now he just kind of like worked his tail off this offseason and lost all the weight. He looks all shredded up, cut up, and ready to go.
Yeah, and he's probably really wearing those belly shirts a lot, too. He's
you
showing
know
it off.
that. That's
Absolutely.
a staple for him.
Yeah, definitely. So, also, I want to say a big thank you to our guy, Steve Murray, who also is featured in the game Knockout City from EA Originals. He is the guy that does our voiceover here. A good friend of mine from school. Season 2 kicks off right now. It's happening right now in Knockout City. So please, you guys, if you're on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, all that stuff, check out Knockout City. Support our man, Stephen Murray. Also, I want to give a big thanks to Mohawk Honda, where they go out of their way to please you. If you need a car trade-in, go to Mohawk Honda. Absolutely, they'll take care of you. Service as well, too. I get my oil change there. Boom, take care of it. Johnstone Supply, also heating, ventilation down in Troy. Check them out, too, as well. Buck Environmental Solutions, anything you guys have, ticks, anything like that, stuff going around your creeks overflowing in the backyard.
Hit them up.
Take them, Buck Solutions, environmentalsolutions.com, and Raise Energy. We're hyped
Raise,
up on
baby.
Raise Energy. Absolutely.
Go.
Check it out. Raise them up is the promo code. And don't forget,
Repsports.com.
also, next week we're going to be back at the regular show on our channel. So if you can, please, again, hit us up on YouTube, Football on the No Show, and also on Facebook, the same thing, Football on the No Show. Hit the like button, subscribe, and the notification bell here for YouTube. And
When
you'll
we
get
go
notified
live.
whenever we go live, which is every Wednesday night. Check it out. And also follow us on Twitter at FB_no. Joe?
Yes,
let's
sir.
take him out of here.
Let's get out of here.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Good night.
everybody.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday nights for more Football on the No with Jim and Joe.